your mask, your script, your role, your destiny is already there.
Even if you're not performing, you're performing.
Absolutely.
Everyone's performing.
Not being accepted, the fear of failure.
I'll probably edit this part out.
One of one. What is one? It's only a cliche because we don't want to accept it.
Love takes time. Love makes time. Trey, good all day.
What up, dog?
Thanks for being on the show.
But thank you for having me, bro. Like, for real.
We talked about it some, and now we're finally doing it, as we say.
Yes. All good things take time, I guess.
They certainly do. Also, we're taking these new mics for a spin, which, dude, they sound so good in these headphones.
I heard them over the headphones before this started, so like they are butter. So whoever is hearing this, you could just listen. Like, you don't even have to watch this. Just listen.
Either go ultra cheap on the microphones or go high end.
Yeah.
So I tried to do a middle of the road. It was the Rode pod mic, and they're about $100 a pop, and they suck. So, but these, dude, a lot of greats have talked into these microphones. I'm just trying to be one of them.
You are one of them already, G. You got what they got, so you there already.
Hey, thanks. Dude, I mean, you know a few things about microphones. You're a performer.
Just a little bit. I just know how to hold them, speak into them, and that's pretty much it. Like, that's really it, for real. Like, the things I know about mics is I know if they're shitty and I know if they sound good because they sound like butter. If they don't sound like butter, like I'd rather not be on them.
Yeah.
And I know that people who know, like, they're like you and other people who just are like audiophiles. I'm not an audiophile. I can be, but I just like to get the mic and say what I gotta say. Like rap, sing, talk my shit, and that's about it.
That's awesome. Do you recall like that first moment for you, like as a kid, like when you first picked one up, you get one of those little karaoke machines?
One of my first times performing was not with even a mic. It was just like me performing in front of like my family and shit, like acting like Michael Jackson. And so like it was more so me mouthing words and dancing than having a mic. But when I got a hold of a mic, that was like in high school. In 9th grade, we had a rap battle in like the gymnasium or whatever, and like we were like they had money on the line and everything. I ended up winning, by the way. Nice. So that was like my first time actually holding the mic and performing in front of people. And little fun fact, like one of my homies, my homie G, he goes by Illuminati G. He makes beats, dope producer back in Detroit, Michigan or whatever. When they met me in 9th grade, I was in the gym, but I was like off to myself. And like oftentimes, bro, I'm always in my mind either beatboxing or just like trying to put words together. More so back then than I am now because I got a lot more things on my mind. But back then I was just like, and just looking like Rain Man almost, to the where like my homies then, they was like, bro, we thought you was a little, I can't use the word now, but it starts with an R and ends with a D. So like they thought I was a little touch, a little special. They thought I had a little Rain Man to me, which I think I might have sometimes, but
I like that call back to Rain Man. That is a classic movie.
Oh man, it is very much so.
Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise. Yeah,
a great, beautiful mind and a misunderstood body.
Yeah,
that's what I take from that a little bit and a little bit explode. And the reason why that's probably on the top of my head is because I just watched this show on Netflix called Love on the Spectrum. It was a guilty pleasure watch because things on Netflix they slide by. And it's like, yo, what is this? And they show you a little clip of what's about to play, yeah. And I was like, hey, I want to watch this. And then me and my wife, Hemi, had watched probably like 2-3 episodes of it, and then I was like, yeah, we got to stop watching.
Wait, what made it so much of a guilty pleasure? Because I don't.
Okay, so Love on the Spectrum is a reality show. One, I really never watch reality shows. Two, it's a reality show about individuals with autism. So Love on the autism spectrum.
Oh, interesting.
And setting them up on blind dates with other autistic people. And so it's entertaining, but it's also like engaging in the fact that like you are drawn into worlds of individuals who aren't always shown on TV shows, and like how, you know, normal they are. Like, I feel like personally, if it's a spectrum, we all on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So depending on the severity of whatever affliction will determine, you know, how it's expressed. But in this show, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Like, had I not been married, I've been like, hey, what's happening? What's going on with you? You feel I might have shot my shot at one or two of them, but you know, it just, you know, it was funny. It was some funny instances in there, and there was some real heartwarming things. It's like you kind of want them to find love and shit, because it's difficult for regular people to find love, and it seems even more difficult for individuals who have quote unquote disabilities to find love. And while we were watching it, one of the dudes, James, he was on a blind date with a lady, I think her name was Emma or whatever, right? And you could see people in the background like looking back and snickering and shit. Whole time I'm like, yo, dog, cut that shit the fuck out. Stop looking back. Stop doing all that. Because I could see, like, you know, the characters, the people noticing what's going on around them. And I was just, my heart was kind of going out to them. It was like, hey, man, like, continue doing your thing. Have your date. Enjoy your time. You don't need all that extra shit going on. But yeah, so I had to like, after I was 3 in, and I was like, let me stop watching this shit.
It sounds like a good show. I might check it out.
It's interesting, bro. I ain't gonna hold you up. It's interesting, and it's interesting, funny, engaging, and it's entertainment, bro. It's Netflix.
God, dude, everyone just wants to find love, and like, I'm sure I have all kinds of disabilities. I know I do, dude. Like,
there's so many things I feel like I have a disability in that people would be like, seriously? And it's like, I mean, yeah, but we are able to like mask them almost. But you know, it don't stop us from being ourselves, and you know, finding love. And finding love is the most it's the most fantasized, and like probably one of the most industrialized intangibles that humans have created. It's very fantasized. It's like, you gotta find love, and they create so many different, you have thousands of apps to find love on your phone. You have speed dating, you have all of these different, you know, businesses around finding love, right? But the whole time, it's not about finding love or connection in someone else. It's more so about finding that love and that connection with yourself, so that you can actually attract and like enjoy the love with somebody else. Because it's like, whether or not they accept you or honor you for who and what you are, you already do that for yourself. So through the fantasizing and industrializing of love, we've been off track with what love really is, because it's an intangible thing. And so trying to, you know, find something that's intangible on the outside, that don't turn out well for a lot of people. And that's why motherfuckers end up on the search forever. I keep fucking with this hat. I probably should take this bitch off in a second.
Yeah, I like that hat though. That's part of your clothing stuff, correct? It
is, man. Like this shirt, obviously, shameless plug. Be greater than ever, which is something that I came out with probably a few years ago, probably like 2016. But funny story about the inception, because it was a dream and it started as that. The conception of Be Greater Than Ever is because, like, I think my disability is that I look at things and I'm like, that ain't right. That's not how things should go. I'm opinionated, so to speak, but I keep my opinions to myself for the most part, unless I wear them on my clothes. But there's a brand back in Detroit, because if people don't know, I'm originally from Detroit. There's a brand back in Detroit by Detroit versus Everybody. Shout out to Tommy Walker, creator of it. But I was looking at it and I was just like, fuck everybody. Like, Detroit is...
Was it too surface, or what was going on?
To me, it felt too surface. and it is no disrespect at all whatsoever. It's just, to me, I saw Detroit versus everybody, and it was like, Detroit is Detroit. Like, we're not in competition. We're not comparing ourselves to nobody, regardless of how many media outlets or how many individuals might have something to say about Detroit. And this was years ago, because now it's a fucking vacation spot, which is crazy to me. But nevertheless, when I was looking at it, it was just like, yo, Detroit is not versus everybody. Like, nobody can go against Detroit as much as they may want to. Like, if it wasn't for Detroit, you motherfuckers wouldn't have cars, you wouldn't have Michael Jackson, you wouldn't have Stevie Wonder, you wouldn't have a lot of things that America thrives off of. Like, Kiss wouldn't even have Detroit Rock City, you feel me? So it's like, there's so many things that Detroit has offered America and the world that we don't need to be in competition with anybody. So my brain, like, took the body off of everybody, so it was just ever. It took the S off the verses, turned it into a greater than sign. And so it was just Detroit greater than ever, right? And so I sent the owner an email to, like, with my idea. He never got back to me. And so my spirit was just like, this ain't for him, it's for you. This ain't for him, it's for you. And I was like, all right, cool, bet. Let's put this out, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, I ain't know shit about business, bro. Like, I just had ideas and I try to put them out. But I had no foundation in business. I had no planning, acumen, organization. I just have an idea. I want to put that motherfucker out. I did it, and it was successful, but it wasn't sustainable because, again, I didn't have the business acumen. And plus, when my spirit told me that it's not for them, it's for you, it was not just so I can go out and push out a product. It was so I can go out. It was so I can go within and realize that I have to be greater than ever, that I have to cultivate myself, that I have to cultivate my consciousness so that I can then present this in a way that people can entertain, that can be entertained, enlightened, educated, so on and so forth. Because if I'm just putting it out, that's me searching for love, right? And that's outside of myself. And so it's taken how long it's taken. Everything takes time. Like, we started this month. I'm gonna take this damn hat off and put it on the other way.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. So, like, it's taken as long as it's taken because that's all life takes is time. So, and be greater than ever, man, is one of my is my offering. And, like, it's been a journey of self, discovery, self-reflection, self-actualization, and a whole bunch of other self-assigned things, that I want to share with people, share myself with people, so on and so forth. Not in any particular way, but to share. So
yeah, I like what you said too about you came to the guy with the idea, but then it sounds like you went full circle and then took ownership of it, and then boom, it sparked creativity and art and a business, which is awesome. Didn't they say that Detroit was kind of like the beating heart of America? Is that what they... At
one point in time, yes.
Okay.
At one point in time, they said Detroit was the beating heart of America. Of course, as a Detroiter, I'm biased as a motherfucker, but...
So you're like born and raised there?
Yeah, so... Full disclosure, I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan, which is like 20-30 minutes from Detroit. But I grew up, I was raised all in Detroit, on the east side of Detroit, East side, what up though? But yeah, so yeah, grew up, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, until I came here.
That's amazing. And but in Fairfield, you've been here
I've been here about 7 years, bro.
Wow.
It's 8 years. I got here in 2014.
Yeah. Every now and again, I'll still go on Zillow and I'll look at houses. I'm like, dude, you can get a $5,000 house in Detroit still. I don't know.
I can. But that's a fixer-upper, though.
Dude, like, that is a real fixer-upper.
That's a fixer-upper. I'm going to have to hire you to be like, hey, can you come fix this motherfucker up for me? Or my old man. My old man is he's a carpenter. If I'm Jesus, he's Joseph. No, he's definitely for as long as I can remember, bro, he's been building things, like,
nice.
And remodeling things. Him and I built my own bedroom in the basement of my first home on the east side of Detroit when I was like 10. You know what I mean? So like I got a little acumen with, you know, hanging drywall, painting, all of that shit. So.
Super satisfying. Mm-hmm. I've been studying for my realtor's license, actually. Oh shit, I don't know if I want people to know that. It might happen, it might not. I don't know. Everyone's got to try and make money somehow.
Hey man, do what you got to.
There's interesting provisions where, you know, like if you have a squatter in your house and a couple years go by, they might own that mother.
Yeah, that's theirs.
So sometimes when you come across these houses on Zillow, it's like, okay, well, it's been vacant for like 5, 6, you know, however many years. Mm-hmm. And you got to go there and like figure it out.
Right.
There's probably a little bit of the Wild West going on. Oh, you got to tell me what's in that, by the way.
It's One Love and Blessed. No, this is a smoothie, bro. So right now, like, for like the last 3.5 weeks, I've been really on like raw living foods. And so what's in this right now is 1 whole pineapple, a grapefruit, 4 oranges, a mango, and like 9 strawberries. I threw some honey and some maca powder in here, so I might, you know, make another baby tonight. I don't know.
That's like the real naked juice.
Get naked. This is the get naked juice.
Yeah. Dude, that's what you got. Dude, that's your new drink. Yeah.
Hey, listen, this is the aphrodisiac of smoothies and beyond. But yeah, so I came across this dude watching a podcast that, you know, shout out to this podcast. He goes by the name of Yaki Awakened. And brother was very, very, very knowledgeable about, you know, microbiology, biology, food science, so on and so forth. And he was talking about how, you know, humans are designed more so to be frugivores, and a frugivore is an individual who eats fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, things of that nature. And while he's talking, I'm like, my body's like, yes. Probably if I blow your speaker. But my body's like, yes. And I've been wanting to be a raw food, I wanted to say raw food vegan or raw food plant-based eater for years now. But I'd go back and forth. I backslide. I do it for a month and so on and so forth. Backslide, blah, blah. And the seed for that was planted when I was probably like 11, 12. I remember seeing something on National Geographic of like this family of breatharians. And like something in me was like, I want to do that.
Wait, now is that just where they breathe?
Yeah.
Like, so, how does that work?
Okay, so breatharians, like, there's a lot of different types of breatharians.
Okay.
But the overall premise is individuals who are sustained and nourished through breath, that are content and can go hours, days without consuming anything solid. A lot of them do still consume like smoothies, fruit juices, raw living foods. Some of them might have cooked foods here and there. Anybody can do what they want. But the overall consensus is that they get their energy from essentially our first energy source, which is breath. When you come out of the womb, the first thing you do is breathe. That's your first source of nutrients outside of the womb. And so, like, you know, yogis, they practice pranayama for hours just so they can sustain their bodies and things of this nature. So when I seen that, when I was like 11, 12, I didn't know shit about no yogis, no nothing. I just knew that that's something that I could do. That was more than less like my soul and my spirit was like, this is your path. And I was like, yes. But, you know, again, growing up in Detroit in the environment I was, when I was a kid, I ain't know nothing about no vegetarian. I ain't know nothing about no vegan. None of that. I ain't become plant-based because I was still eating honey and bee pollen and stuff like that until like 2010. You know, so it's only been for me about 12 years now since I haven't been eating meat. It's probably like 2011. So it's been back and forth of me eating a terrible vegan diet to getting on my raw foods and doing my breath work and making sure that I meditate 20 minutes twice a day, all of that, you know? And like, I know that that's a part of my makeup, what I need, and it makes me feel good, you know what I mean? And I'm doing it the right way, because not only, you know, am I getting the juices, the smoothies, I'm also taking good herbs and things of that nature. So like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on nothing.
Dude, you just talking about breathing, and I'm like, dude, I need to take deeper breaths. I realize it's a good reminder that I have like really shallow breaths. I think I go throughout the day just kind of, and I'm sure that's storing, you know, it's storing something. And I remember, because I got into Art of Living. I don't know if you know that. It's breath work too. Meditation spectrum type stuff. Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, just one of many dudes doing cool things. Kriya is what they call it. But yeah, one of their philosophies is that, you know, your breath is a certain way if you're feeling fear or anger or sadness or whatever, and it constricts, and you know, you can do things to work out, to breathe, to bust through those barriers. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's like the simplest thing too. Like, I often tell people, like, don't forget to breathe. It's like, what? Like, don't forget to breathe. But you just gave the perfect opportunity. It's like, damn, I need to remember to breathe. But you do it all the time. If you didn't do it, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. And so it's easy to take for granted, and also it's out of sight, out of mind. But when you start to do it more consciously, it makes everything more conscious. It makes you more conscious. It makes you more aware of your environment, so on and so forth. Or when you are in that tense, like, oh shit, oh, what the fuck's going on? It makes the energy move. Yeah. Because like they often say, you know, energy is emotion, or energy in motion. But what is emotion? Oftentimes, it's oftentimes like associated with water, and water is often moved by air, currents of air. So if you can breathe better, you can move through your emotions better. And you know, it's all elementary, my dear Watson. All elementary.
Love it. Love the way you just put that. It's great. Yeah, I mean, so much of what we're doing today, I'm getting acquainted with it because it's performing. No matter what, it's performing. It's not to say that, you know, rules can't be broken necessarily, but you try to do it consciously and whatever. And it's just been a steep learning curve for me. And what I think is so great about what you do, because I've seen you on stage a couple of times, and you let it rip pretty hard doing your music.
I love being on stage.
Dude, I remember the Arbor Bar. Man, I got a couple of good photos of you too, the 35 millimeter. But you were bringing the energy, and it's something I admire, because in my own life, I tense up. Breath restricts. And even, you know, right as we sat down, I have to take inventory and be really honest. It's like, I do kind of like, because I'm trying to put something out, I'm trying to like let go of that shit and just be myself more. So what's the secret? Well, how do you let it rip?
That's how I let it rip. I think, bro, honestly, it's just been a natural thing for me for the most part. And like, I just feel at home on stage. Like, outside of being a performer, I'm really a homebody. I'm really somebody just like a recluse. Like, that's the hermit side to me. But when I'm on stage, it's like, okay, now I have your attention, I have your awareness, and I know I have something that's going to add value to you. So I don't even have to think about it. But I do before I get on stage. Sometimes I'll get in my body more. And like, just knowing that, you know, I'm up on there to do something that only I can do. You know what I mean? Like, there's millions of performers, and they're all great at what they do because they're doing them. So when I get on stage, it's like, bro, I'm about to do what the fuck I do. And regardless of whatever happened before this, it could be the worst type of scenario, I'm where I need to be right now. I'm on this stage. I'm about to fuck this bitch up. Regardless of who's in here, right. What happened afterward, what bills I gotta pay tomorrow, it don't matter. I'm about to go in. And like, if I didn't if I didn't have to write my own music, man, I'd be just performing all the time. But you got to make the music, record the music, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, then do you ever have the fear, like, what if it's not well received? Like, man, I think this is cool practicing in my basement, but as soon as I take it out there and someone's like, dude, you kind of suck, man.
Yeah. Woo. I'm so glad I've never experienced that because I'm good. But no, I have battled with that though, honestly. Because so a lot of the music that Fairfield has been privileged, and I say privileged very loosely, has been privileged to like get from Trey Good, has been musings that I was crafting when I was in Detroit. But I didn't feel like what I had to say would get received. And the irony looking back is that like them niggas would have loved what the fuck I'm talking about now. Back then, and I say N-words loosely, but they would have loved it because I was a lot of the people that I was performing with and performing around and had connections to and have connections to this day are artsy, rebellious, are shifting cultures, are shifting consciousness, are opening paradigms, like are Buddhists. Like it's, so I was in my own way, you know what I mean, thinking that individuals weren't ready for what I had to say. It was, I wasn't ready. And so how I got over that is just like, bro, it has been me getting on stage multiple times and doing what I do and being well received and being shown that people are hungry for what I got, or being shown that people love what I do, and allowing for me to not continue to look for that love outside of self and be like, bro, you know you got this shit. Keep doing it. Keep fucking doing it. And so that's what's got me and getting me over, you know, the fear of not being accepted, the fear of failure, fear of success, so on and so forth. Because that's definitely something I've battled with for all of my life, for real, for real. It's like I'm very confident, but I'm also very conflicted. Like I'm a lot less conflicted now, like in this moment in time, than I have been in the past 5, 6, 7, like since I've been in Fairfield almost. So I'm like a lot more capable, confident, a lot more clear as to who I am, what I'm here to do, so on and so forth, than I have been pretty much ever, for real. And why? What's the secret to that?
Meditation twice daily. No.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry,
no, you're good.
Interrupted you.
No, you're good.
What were you gonna say?
You're good. Keep that in, bro. No, like that plays a major role along with study of self and just deconditioning. Deconditioning, bro, has been a journey within itself, and meditating, deconditioning, study of self, all of these things have been working synergistically so that I can like really believe in myself. Cause like this design, bro, I came out with this a few years back after I had like this hypnotherapy thing going on. And it was just like, I was coming back into my body and like, God was like, I believe in you so much. I am you, blah, blah. I was like, oh shit. But again, that was a lesson that I had to learn before I went out and attempted to teach. And that's one of my biggest like flaws or lessons, is that I would attempt to teach shit before I fully learned it. And so when that happened, and I know that you don't know everything you need to know about this thing, Trey, that would be my confliction in contrast to my confidence of going out and continuously doing my thing. And that's why I would be very consistently inconsistent. And so since I've been able to be more regular with my spiritual practices, because it's not just meditation.
No,
like,
yeah, of course.
I can tell you everything I do, G. Like I do everything. My spiritual practices, eating right, studying myself, and just observing and deconditioning, it's allowed for me to like, again, be very, very, very like, this is me. and I accept me, I don't give a it's not that I don't give a fuck if nobody else accepts me. I understand why you wouldn't. I understand why you wouldn't, and I accept that you might not, and that's okay. But that's not gonna stop me from embodying, embracing, and expressing the fullness of what I am, because I would be doing myself a disservice, and I'd be doing you or whoever else even more of a disservice, because you would think that my succumbing to mediocrity is okay. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. I liken it to some of these other terms people talk about: shadow work, looking in the mirror. Being an artist and maybe more specifically a performer, it's so cool because it's kind of equal parts. You've got your subjective experience, whatever that is, maybe in a private life or whatever that is. Yeah. And then there's the awareness and the objectivity of what you're doing on stage. And this beautiful fusion of the two, where it's like, yeah, I'm speaking from my truth. This is true for me. And then it meets the audience. A beautiful,
exchange and resonance.
That's the word. Yeah.
An exchange and resonance. And I think that's probably why, like, when I do hit the stage and I do my thing in regards to me.
The doo-doo.
I do the doo-doo. I drop the shit. You feel me? I do that, and like people resonate with it because whatever they can see themselves in what I'm saying, or they can see something beyond themselves in what I'm expressing. And that's that's the beauty of being an artist. That's the beauty of being a performer. That's the beauty of being a messenger. That's the beauty of being. Is that irregardless of if I was on stage or anybody who's not a performer, like, the beauty of being is that we have these things that we share with each other, whether they be tangible or intangible, that are resonant frequencies. And the more people start to like really embody whatever they are, whatever they have to give, it's like nodes on like a board or something. Like if one node, boom, lights up, the other ones around it start lighting up, things of this nature. Being on being the advantage to being a performer is like, if I'm on stage lighting the fuck up and there's multiple people around me, it was like, yo, everybody starts to light up off that. But it happens on macro and micro levels all the time.
Absolutely. And there's that so terrible cliche of the stage of life, which is, but it's so true.
It's so true.
Because even if you're not performing, you're performing.
Absolutely.
Everyone's performing.
Absolutely.
We all have masks.
Yep.
We all have, and actually I think, talking about disabilities, I feel like one of my disabilities is maybe walking through life, not owning or appreciating that there is a stage of life that can be improved upon.
Absolutely.
And explored and enjoyed. And so I think, the energy that would say, oh, you don't really want to get on stage, you're not going to sing that karaoke song, is the same. They say how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So like, I'm still bringing that shit with me, just walking down the street, talking to my friends, Right. So this has actually been a wonderful reminder to be more engaged in life. Man. Like, ask the questions, find out who you are, who is Trey Good,
That's almost like one of the titles to one of my albums. But I wouldn't even say it's a terrible cliche. Like, it's only a cliche because we don't want to accept it. We don't want to accept that all of this shit is a stage. All of it is scripted. Like, if you get into your natal chart, you get into your Jodish chart, you have your script that has your assigned role. Then it's improv from there. It's improv. But even though it's improv, it still has these particular containers within the improv. So it can go any way within the improv, but it's going to get to that particular end, which the particular end may vary, which is the beauty of infinite dynamism or the infinite potentiality of life. But your mask, your script, your role, your destiny is already there. It's an infinite expression of it, but it's there. So the more that you can embrace it, the more that you can understand it, you get to play. You get to play. Life's a game. Life is a game. Life is a stage, and we're here to play. I was having this conversation yesterday about free will. I accept free will, but at the same time, I also realize that free will ain't as free as people may think. And it's due to, like I was saying, like it's the improv. But in this improv, it can go any way, but it's going to get to where it's going to go. And depending on the choices we make, the habits we form, the conditions we are under, and the conditions we decondition ourselves from, will determine how that looks and unfolds for us. But if we stick to our script, which is our natal chart, which is our human design, which is our gene keys, which is, the things that make us us, and people don't believe in these things, and that's cool. Like, you don't have to believe in it for it to actually be moving through you. That's one of the things I think a lot of people get caught up in too, is this concept of belief. Irony enough is, like, I believe in my motherfucking self is on my shirt. But people get caught up in, beliefs don't matter. It's like they do and they don't. Everything does and it don't. You always have the positive and negative all at the same time. Like I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, if there's a spectrum, we own that motherfucker somewhere. Yeah. The concept of belief, especially when it comes to spirituality and religion, it's always centered around something outside of self. Again, back to looking for love outside of self. And so people don't want to believe things outside of themselves. And the absolute truth is that there's nothing outside of yourself, because you are self within yourself, interacting with yourself and others all of the motherfucking time. And as diverse as they are, may make you think, me and this motherfucker ain't got nothing in common. Me and this ain't the same, so on and so forth. It's like, nah, G, you are. Just how y'all go about things is unique. And that word unique it's hard for people to like grasp, in my personal perspective, because if something's unique, it means it's one of one.
I can't believe you're bringing this up right now. Unbelievable. Come on. Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but on a previous recording, I used the word unique, not in the right context. And the guest was like, no. Unique is truly one of a kind. And I learned something, and then I phrased it differently, but
one of one. If it's one of a kind, what is the kind? We don't know, because it's one of it. One of one. What is one? Everything. The one, like when I refer to God, I have plenty of names for it. Hallowed be thy name, right? But it's the infinite almighty one to me. Growing up, I've always had like this disdain for Christianity. And it might be the same way for people who like grew up in the movement. It's like
it might. I don't know.
It might, because I've heard stories, I've seen things, all types of stuff. But when I was growing up, I went to Christian church. I grew up Baptist or whatever. I really didn't resonate with it, because something in it just felt off. Right? I was like, this don't make no sense. And I remember telling my cousin. My cousin is like my big brother. I'm like 8, 9. I asked him, like, yo, why are we praying to Jesus like he God? He the middleman. He trying to show us how to be more like God. His response, in which I'm looking back, I was very impressionable, and that's my big brother. He told me, don't you tell nobody that. Grandma find out, she gonna beat your ass. Zip these motherfucking lips for a very long time. And that's not good for an individual like me. It makes me close down. And I was closed off and closed down for a very long time, because that's a core part of my being, is spirituality. And not being able to question what's going on around me made me just be like, ugh, fuck it. I'm just going to not do anything. And I didn't do anything for a very long time. But I digress. And my acknowledgement of Jesus at that time is just like, bro, we brothers. Everybody else got it fucked up, but I couldn't connect because the way that the belief system was structured. And so it wasn't until I started to realize that we have a unique interface, a one-of-a-kind interface with the one, that we should all embrace. And that still sounds counterintuitive, because if we all have a one-of-a-kind interface with this one thing that we all should embrace, how are we supposed to embrace it, but it's unique? That is where I feel like spirituality and religion is moving into. It's going to begin to honor that unique, one-of-a-kind interaction or interface with the totality of self that we all are. That's what great beings such as Jesus, such as Maharishi, such as Buddha was getting to convey to us. It's like, yo, it's nothing outside of yourself. It's all within you. And that is within you is doing everything around you.
You know, I had Tom Kristofiak on the show, and he wrote the book Tempted to Believe. So he's a skeptic through and through, atheist, all that stuff. And it's really fascinating. It's like you get to see in a lot of ways his sort of dilemma in wanting to believe these things, but probably being too smart for his own britches sort of thing, which Tom's a very intelligent person. It's no knock on him. But yeah, it seems to follow intelligence sometimes where it's like, no, I'm too smart for that. I'm not going to fall for the Santa Claus this time, you know? But then there's like a magic of being able to create, like believing your own bullshit. No, like my own bullshit. That's cool too. Like that's like being an artist. It's not bullshit at all. It's
something coming from within.
Yeah.
It is, and of course you can analyze the world without and be like, nah. Even like in regards to atheists, bro, like I fuck with atheists because in the sense of camaraderie, but I also like to fuck with them because they often, from the few that I've met, they're like, I don't believe in anything. I'm like, yo, that's a belief system.
Right, yeah.
You believe that you don't believe in anything so much that you tell yourself that you don't believe in anything, and you're going to denounce anything that is seemingly a belief because your system of operation is that you don't believe. Huh?
Yeah, it seems rigid. I just read something about atheists too, which is that... and
I'm not shitting on atheists, by the way. I'm just saying.
It's definitely interesting to analyze. I can tell you're a bit of a philosopher like me. It's interesting because, you know, to say like, oh, where does morality come from? And when an atheist has morality, at least per the thing I read in this article, said that might be like the purest of the pure, because if they don't believe that anyone's coming to the rescue, but they believe that they can make a change, you know, I love that saying, God helps those who help themselves. It can sting a little bit if you really need some help, but it's like, it's true.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes like even like that stinging, if you need some help, the help you might need to, God helps those who help themselves. And if you're in a position where you need help, just ask for help. That might be the first step. Yeah. And a lot of people just like, I'm one for sure that I don't like to ask for help. Like I never felt like I got the help when I was in need of it before. So it's just like, I'm good on asking for help because vulnerability, and if people can't do it and so on and so forth, and I'd rather just figure it out on my own. But that's not conducive, bro. Like that's really not sustainable either. It's just like everything is helping everything in some form or fashion. Like nothing exists on its own. Like I wouldn't literally be in this physical body had not my mom and my daddy came together and produced me, and had their parents not come together and produced them. So this interdependentness is established throughout everything. Everything. It's the circle of life.
It's a great singing voice, by the way.
Thank you very much. That interdependence is literally the foundation of existence itself. And so, you know, asking for help, ask for help. Absolutely.
You know, that saying too, it kind of maybe sends the wrong signal just a little bit. It's like, I love it, but I think a lot of people interpret that as just, it is kind of a dig, or like, yeah, just do more, help yourself, plug off. Which it's not really about that at all, but yeah, definitely ask for help. Yeah. I got to see you ahead of their time.
Yeah.
That was cool. I'm sorry. I introduced the movie, and I should just say it's Dick DeAngelis' film series, documentary series. Shout out to him.
Right. Shout out to Dick DeAngelis. Shout out to Fairfield Productions for putting together these documentary films about Fairfield, because they're so fucking, excuse the French. I've been cussing this whole time. I've been trying not to sometimes. But they're so like in depth in their research and information, and just bring so much light to this place, bro. Like, this little place in the middle of nowhere, has so much history, so much just juice, bro. Like, it's so much to it that at first glance you'd be like, Fairfield? But then you start to dig deep. What Dick and them have been doing has been God
damn, this one fly keeps buzzing around too, and I'm gonna get it. I'll probably edit this part out, but everyone's like, yeah, Dick just really dig deep. God, he really just got it right, didn't he?
He did. Hey, true, name and form. But yeah. But no, like I respect it because, and I honor being a part of it. Like, I've been in 2 of them thus far.
Yeah.
I was in Ahead of Their Time, which they reached out to me to like have a commentary on this speech by a black man who was a prominent leader in Fairfield by the name of James Yancey. And in his speech, bro, it was like so profound because he was touching on pretty much everything I was just touching on just a second ago about the universality of God and how God is in everybody, and how, you know, racism and owning slaves is totally against what freedom is supposed to be about if we're operating in God's law. And an individual such as myself who's already in tune and already like, yes, like, this is true.
Yeah.
So I just had a great time, you know, just reading over that speech and just understanding where he was coming from, and then being able to share my piece on what that meant to me as a melanated man, but also what it meant at that time. It's not a whole lot of history about, I got to be very mindful of what I'm about to say because it's going to sound anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a lot in history about the exploits of black people. And and the reason why I asterisk what I am saying right now, we have Black History Month, right? That's the shortest month in the year. Always going to be the shortest month in the year. But the irony is that you can't fit all of the historic, life-changing, consciousness expanding, humanitarian endeavors that black people, African Americans, have brought to America or built in America in that little month or throughout the rest of the year, which it doesn't get, talked about. It doesn't get recognized. It doesn't get the just due that it deserves, because if we gonna talk about history at all, you gotta have black folks in it. If we're gonna talk about American history, you gotta have black folks. And then most of the time it's about slavery in American history. But that's only one part of the whole entire story, one part of the whole entire journey. And we get so inundated and indoctrinated on slavery this, slavery that. Let's talk about the first surgeon to have open heart surgery. Let's talk about all of the patents that black scientists have. Let's talk about all of these businesses that black people have started. Let's talk about how hip-hop in the last 30 years has taken over the entire world and has been infused in every musical genre that there is, and that came from black people. So it's like me being able to honor James Yancey's conversation in Ahead of Their Time was just another, for me, acknowledgement that black people been ahead of their time this whole time. And now it's time we're starting to get more recognition for it. Even though we've been fighting for it forever, it's good to see happen. But to me, it's also still like, okay, that should have been happening. even with like Juneteenth, I was having this conversation that the other day about Juneteenth. It's because somebody had asked me, what do you guys do for Juneteenth? Are you excited for it? And it was me and another like African American woman that was in this conversation. It was three of us, right? And to me, like when Juneteenth became a national holiday, I was just like, bro, y'all silly. And like the United States government is silly. And the corporations that are going to profit off of it are sillier, because Juneteenth is only Juneteenth because they don't know exactly when it actually happened. It happened between the 10th and whatever of the 11th, the 5th. It could have been June 20th almost, right? But sometime in June, Emancipation Proclamation went out. Slaves were freed. They ain't want to tell them. They ain't want to be like, hey, y'all are free now. Y'all can go and do whatever y'all want to go do. We gonna get this free labor out of y'all until we actually got to be like, hey, y'all can leave. So that's the whole purpose of Juneteenth. It's like, it was almost a slap in the face of like, y'all been free, but we gonna use y'all for as long as we want to use y'all, because we ain't got to tell y'all nothing. And so now it's like, oh, y'all been free, but we ain't just want to tell y'all. So now it's just like, oh, we should celebrate that. I'm like, yeah, we can. And honestly, there have been people who have celebrated Juneteenth, because in the African American community and culture, like, we are privy to this information that like, oh yeah, and slaves were freed around this particular time. But the story behind it is like, they didn't want to tell us. Why are we celebrating something that was like almost a slap in the face? And why are we celebrating it on a national scale now? And that part of them not wanting to tell us is not being added into the conversation. Like, if y'all gonna put anything out, put the whole thing out. Because in this particular age and time, like, you gonna have to have full transparency and like the whole story. Because if you don't, then you're going to perpetuate a one-sided narrative. Try to give as much as you can about the story so people can make their assessments and understandings from a well-informed source. And so when I was telling this individual, who happened to be a Caucasian European male, and I don't even like using these terms, because to me, it's just humans are humans and human beings. But I'm not one of those people who's like, I don't see color. I see color all the time. But that doesn't change the fact that we are all unique expressions of the infinite. That's what I'm sticking to. I'm gonna keep going with that until the day I'm out of this body. But when I was referring to him, like, yo, like, and then the sister who was there, she was in full agreement. I was like, oh, that's cool, because she was like, yeah, when they came out with it, I thought it was some bullshit too. And so the individual, the male, was just like, wow, I didn't know. And he was like, well, what else could I do to be in support? And I was just like, yo, you just asking the question of wanting to know is, to me, enough support. I don't know whatever anybody else needs, but for me, you just wanting to know more is support within itself, because that means that you're opening up to know more, so that you can be more informed, and so you can be less indoctrinated into what they are spoon feeding us and wanting us to celebrate, wanting us to, think is good things, when really they are right things. But, I had got into all of that talking about James Yancey. But
yeah, that's good.
But yeah, and the first one I was in of Dick's.
Is it like early settlers or something? You were on horseback though.
Yeah, I was on horseback, because Fairfield had something that was a hub along the Underground Railroad. And so the individual, like, I played a freedom-seeking slave in that particular documentary, which was fun. Like, that was like my first time ever being on a horse, and all types of things. It was filming with like live animals is interesting.
Sorry, it's one fly, man.
It's okay.
I thought
man.
I was gonna swat it before you got here, but
his lifespan is that big. You feel me? It's that long. He'll be gone before you know it, or he'll just have. I don't even know if it's a he or a she. That mug big. It might be a she.
Don't offend it now.
You're right. Hey, listen, I try my best not to, but you don't know who you offend these days. And that's when conversations, bro. Conversations is great to be having. because it opens up space for communication. Conversations open up communication. Like things are two, like conversations and communication to me are two different things.
Yeah.
Conversations like are the beginning. It's like, oh, we're talking, blah, blah. But then a communication becomes when we're like actually having dialogue and a back and forth and expanding like our perceptions on things. And so this conversation I was having yesterday was in regards to sensitivity and how a lot of movements I feel are very sensitive, not in the fact of empathy and compassion sensitivity, but in the sensitivity of don't hurt my feelings or don't say things that I feel are disrespectful, when individuals might not even be coming from that place whatsoever. But don't trigger me. So that's the sensitivities. Like, don't trigger me, right? Don't trigger me. Don't trigger me. And I don't even like using that phrase trigger, like, but that's what we have right now, right? That's the key word. That's the hot word for now. But a lot of these movements are moving in almost like a censorship faction. These governments and agendas don't have to do nothing. They just give it to the people, and the people go out and be like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. That makes me feel some type of way. That makes me feel some type of way. And that's cool. I get that. I understand that. But understand that because you are accepting to feel some type of way is something that you can work on and through.
I'm getting a little buzz on one of the...
Oh, it's getting too deep in this motherfucker.
I think I know where we're at, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's backwards. It would be going on stage and telling everyone, I need you to give me like a slow clap into a major rolling applause or something.
Yeah.
Or it's just placing it out. Yeah, I would like to see... I think any group would want to feel more empowered. So it's like, instead of like the slogan being "Don't trigger me," it's like, no, I'm greater, more resilient, greater than ever. Boom. And then let's have a dialogue.
Let's have communication. Let's be open to communicate and see where each other is coming from instead of stereotyping, because these sensitivities further stereotypes, which then further division, which then further separation, which then furthers a easier way for these corporations, for these governments to enforce whatever they need to enforce so that they can continue to keep control over whatever, whoever, wherever they want, because the people have decided. But where are the people getting these pieces of information to decide from? Where are the people getting their influence from? Is it because of trauma that they're working through or they didn't deal with? Or is it trauma that they have worked through and they're like, all right, listen, I went through this. I don't want other people to go through this as well. How can we come to some type of middle ground and really be sensitive, not only to our own needs, but to the needs of others? Because if we can't figure out a way to be sensitive to the needs of the whole, then these individual movements, however many they may be, it could be Confederate movements, because I just heard that somebody was like, yo, I as a heterosexual white man get as much pushback as black people or LGBTQ and blah, blah. So it's just like comparative suffering. So if we can't as a whole become sensitive to each other, comparative suffering will have us all suffering. All of us suffering, because we supposed to be in this motherfucker together. Young Mahesh, as I like to call him, in his SDC principles or SEI principles, harmony is found in diversity. Harmony is found in diversity. Harmony is found in diversity. If we can't find harmony in our differences, if we can't find unity in our uniqueness, I don't know what the fuck gonna happen.
Shit, I think you just hit the nail on the head, though. That's it right there. Yeah.
I often think that I be hitting the nail on the head, but I gotta drive that motherfucker home. And it's because like I mentioned before, like if I'm not on stage, I'm really to myself. But I did just get a new job in town, like that has me around more people, and I get to have like more of these conversations and communications, and I really enjoy it because I get to gather more sense of a community, and I get to see like, okay, the things that I think and feel is like very valid, and I have value to give from my perspective. I don't have the answers. I just, again, like how I started Be Greater Than Ever off, I just looked at it different. I was like, this shit Jesus ain't that, he's this. No, like just me looking and observing things from my own perspective. Maybe it's because, you know, I'm an Aquarius and it's Aquarius season, age of Aquarius, blah, blah. But, and that's, Aquarians are humanitarian. Ultimately, I think we're more so like planetarian, because it's just like, Earth ain't it, but Earth it's our mama. It's very nourishing. Blessed is the Mother Earth, so on and so forth. But we as a human species are star seed, star children. We have a destiny to mingle, to interact with these different planets, with these different stars, with these different systems. But we not gonna get there if we can't find the unity in our uniqueness, if we can't find the harmony in our diversity, if we can't come together and have conversations that lead to open communication to where each movement, each faction can be seen, heard, felt, and embraced, we not ever gonna be able to go to the Pleiades. We not ever gonna be able to go to Venus. Or they're like, but you can't even be on them planets. But that's because in the third density, it looks like you can't be on them planets. But if you go to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh density, you can. But you know.
And
but,
so,
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so if people want the message on a shirt,
hey,
where do they go?
If they want the message on the shirt, bro, go to begreaterthanever.com. BEGREATER than ever. That's a whole lot, but all spelled out. begreaterthanever.com. On Instagram, it's at begreaterthanever. Rarely on Twitter, but it's also on Facebook as well. Yeah, so if they want it on there, that's where it's at. You know, right now, it is Pride Month, and so in alignment and in celebration with the unique individuals that is everybody, especially in the LGBTQA plus community. Like I went in and revamped a lot of my popular designs, such as this, my Make Humanity Great Again design, which one of your previous host? No, you're the host.
I'm the
guest.
Host, but yeah, guest.
One of your previous guests was wearing. Shout out to my brother Colin.
Yeah.
Was wearing, and God is the Greatest is another one of my designs, and so like I revamped them and gave them rainbow variants, so in honor of Pride Month. So right now we got the Proud to Be collection going on for the month of Pride Month. We might keep it up there depending on the response from people, so on and so forth. Yeah, and then if the people also want to
music.
I was going.
I want to plug your music.
Hey, listen. I'm gonna get to that. I'm also will be premiering a new podcast. Soon, within the next month or so. The name for that is Perspectives from the Paradox. For me, it's a podcast about everything and nothing. And like I mentioned before, I don't have the answers. I just have questions, and I just look at things like, that's kind of weird. Let's do that. Why not do this? Why not do that? Let's try this. And if I'm wrong, I'm open to learning more. You know what I mean? If I don't have all that information, I'm open to, conversing. But nevertheless, that's going to be a platform for me to express these perspectives and these thought forms that have been living in me for as long as I can remember, which then leads into music. So I got a couple of things out on Spotify, Apple Music, so on and so forth, where you can stream. I just released my most recent single, Don't Give Up, back in April. Shout out to everybody in Fairfield who helped me put that together, the video.
The music video was awesome.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Shout out to Ryan Bieber, who directed that for me, and Turtle Man for being in it. Everybody who showed up in it. And shout out to my wife. My wife, she did the beat. So, you know, it was a family in Fairfield affair. But I released that back in April. But then even then, like I put it out, but I also kind of took a step back because I realized like I needed to take a step back. But like I have a lot of music already. Like I have a lot of music, but it's not all mixed and mastered, blah, blah. But I'm working on a project, The Parable of Talents. And so the Parable of Talents is Matthew 25 in the Bible, which I didn't know was my old man's favorite Bible verse until like I was telling my mama like, oh yeah, I'm working on this stuff called Parable of Talents. She's like, you know, that's your daddy favorite Bible verse. I was like, word, I didn't even know. My mama's favorite is Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good for those who believe in the God or who believe in God, so on and so forth. And you know, the Parable of Talents is about are you familiar with the Parable of Talents?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick little rundown. Good. Parable of Talents, Matthew 25. There's a master that goes out on a journey. He has 3 servants. He gives each of his servants different talents. Talents are supposedly like money, right? Or currency at this particular point in time. So he gives his first servant, I believe it was 5 talents. He gives his second servant 2 talents. He gives his third 1 talent. And so the master goes off. Now the one who got 5, turned that 5. He went out into the world with those 5 talents. Maybe he invested some in the crypto and blah blah, just other things. He turned that 5 talents into 10, right? The one who had the 2 went out, probably started an OnlyFans with some of that money and advertised what they needed to do. Turned that 2 into 4. Now the one who had 1, out of fear of a plethora of reasons to have fear, went and buried their talent in the dirt and did nothing with it because for whatever reason. Then the master comes back to do a bit of checks and balances with like, you know, hey, I gave you this 5, what you do with it? Let me see. So, hey, master, I've took this 5, flipped this, did that, made it 10 for you. The one that did 2 turned that into 4, said the same thing, was well received by the Lord, right? The one that buried his told the Lord, like, Lord, I buried mine because such and such and such and such. The Lord was like, you lazy, slothful servant, blah, blah, blah. I'll take the one that you have, give it to the one who had 5, turned it into 10 and cast you out. And you'll be out with, you know, teeth of gnawing and gnashing, blah, blah, this and the third. And so that story for me, as knowing that I probably was given 1 talent, I probably was given 5 of them other ones. But knowing that I buried my talents out of fear, out of doubt, wanting acceptance and childhood things, like telling my cousin, like, hey, Jesus is the middleman, so on and so forth, zip my lips and all types of things. So I buried a lot of my gifts. I buried my desire to, you know, pursue greater endeavors because I didn't feel like anybody cared or that I mattered. So what's the point? What's the purpose? This body of work that I'm working on is more so me unburying my talents, getting the dirt off myself, shining myself up and watering myself so that when the master returns, which is really yourself, it happens in cycles. So I was cast out. I was out here bold, bro. I was struggling. I was down bad. You feel me? I was, for lack of better terms, fucked up. But I was able to grow. I was able to reflect. I was able to realize, like, yo, you got it. You got it. Give it to yourself. I don't want to do no harm to nobody. I want everybody. I'm really about finding the harmony and the diversity and finding the unity and uniqueness. I'm really about that life. So I don't have any qualms with anybody whatsoever. And it kind of gets me in trouble but it puts me at odds because there's a lot of divisiveness in a lot of things. Like I got friends that are politicians. And I got friends that are opposed to certain politicians.
Right.
And I'm Switzerland in the middle of it.
And breathe.
Yeah. And so, anything people want to listen to for Trey Good, TrayGood, you can find that on Spotify, Apple Music. I have the Montre Project, which is the complete title is the Montre Project, Source Materials, an Album of Affirmations, which this Montre Project is affirmations that I end up like beatboxing under. I put it out, it's unmixed, it's unmastered, that's why I call it the Source Materials. It's raw. I'm on that and singing all types of shit. I've gotten over, and I released it last year, no promotion whatsoever. I've gotten over about 150,000 streams from this particular project. And it's just like, and it boosted everything else that I put out too. So it's just like me listening to my spirit and what feels good, even if I'm thinking that like, oh, I don't want to do it, it don't sound right, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, do what the fuck I told you to do. We gonna help you out. I was like, all right, cool. So that gave me more confidence to not just be so like sit on my stuff. I've had songs from Grammy winning artists. Like I have a song, bro. When I got the beat from him, he was not Grammy nominated, neither did he win a Grammy, so on and so forth. But I ended up getting 2 beats from this particular producer. I should have shot him out, but I'm gonna keep that tucked. I got 2 beats from this particular producer. I put one song out, but then like there's this one song that I've had, bro, for like 12 years. I've been sitting on this one song. I'll let you listen to it after we talk.
I'd love to. Yeah, maybe one day it'll see the light.
Oh, it's definitely gonna see the light of day. Oh, absolutely, it's gonna see the light of day. I sat on stuff because I wasn't ready. I didn't think it was ready, so on and so forth. But of course, like we said at the absolute beginning of this, everything takes time. Everything takes time, and I've been able to be cool with that. I get a little Vada deranged sometimes. If you don't know anything about being Vada deranged, you're in the wrong city.
I love. There's a saying, "Love takes time, love makes time." I love that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. All in good time.
All in good time.
We'll have all the links to that in the video description for folks that want to check that out. And then we'll be on the lookout for your new podcast. I'll look forward to hearing that.
Oh, man. Thank you. I'm going to have to bring you on there.
Well, I'd be honored. That would be a blast. And honestly, the message is timely and it's going to age real well because you're doing awesome things, Trey.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, my friend.
Likewise.
And thanks for listening, you guys. Until next time.